Welcome back to the Yoga Habit Challenge. Today, building on a lot of the upper body strength that we've been forming in our daily practices with our chaturangas, we're going to find another arm balancing pose called our crow pose. And don't worry if you don't feel ready for crow, we'll also work on the introductory steps there. But we'll start by finding some flexibility and strength within the wrists. So come into your cross-legged seated position, Sukhasana, however you feel comfortable sitting on your mat. And we'll tap into our breath. Today, we're going to layer on another breath technique called Ujjayi breath, or the victorious breath. It adds some heat to the practice. It adds some powerful, confident energy to our yoga practice. So it's great for hand balancing. So what that sounds like, what that feels like, is as you breathe in through your nose, you can almost imagine like you're beginning to yawn, and it draws this cavernous open space into the back of the throat. The soft palate lifts. So when you breathe in, it feels like you're dragging the air across the roof of your mouth, down this cavernous space at the back of the throat and into the lungs. So see if you can find that with the inhale first. And then as you exhale, there's a slight restriction in the glottis so that it comes out almost like a soft snoring sound that only you can hear. See if you can feel that. It's almost like you're fogging a mirror with your breath, but with your mouth closed. So it's sometimes called the ocean sound. You can hear it like the sound of waves. Try that again. Inhale, dragging the air along the roof of the mouth. And just constricting the throat ever so slightly so that it comes out like the sound of a baby snoring. Just by adding that slight restriction, it makes the breath longer. It also gives us this sort of auditory feedback for the breath so you can keep your mind with your breath a little more easily. I like to describe this breath as if someone were sitting next to you and they've fallen asleep on your shoulder. What changes in their breath that alerts you to the fact that they're asleep? Usually their breath becomes much longer, much more even, and their throat is a lot more relaxed because they're asleep. So you hear this soft snoring sound, not a full snore, just the slightest bit of sound attached to the breath. And that's what we're trying to find with Ujjayi breath. All right, keep maintaining that style of breathing. You can open your eyes if they were closed, and then bring your hands together in front of you, interlace your fingers, and just roll out your wrists as if you could draw the biggest circle possible in the air with your knuckles. Rolling out the wrists here. And then take them the opposite direction as well. If you're rolling that circle in one direction, try rolling it in the other. And then bring your hands out to chest height in front of you as if pressing the heel of your hand as far forward as possible, bending your hands back towards you as much as you can, and then drop them the opposite way as if trying to touch your wrist with your fingers. Inhale, lifting. Exhale, dropping. Again. And then exhale, make fists with your hands. And inhale, open. Exhaling, fists. Inhaling, open. Beautiful. Now coming down onto all fours, let's see how that translates there. We're going to find in our hands something called Hasta Bandha. Hasta is our hands, and Bandha is an energy lock. So what this will feel like is as if you're gripping your fingertips back towards you so that the center of your hand becomes like a suction cup. You're still pressing down through the ball of that first finger, but you're pulling the fingertips towards you, almost tenting the middle knuckles up. It's called the cambered hand in gymnastics, or we call it something similar, Hasta Bandha in yoga. This will allow you to stay nice and firm through your wrists whenever practicing arm balances. So with the fingertips gripping towards you, find your cows and cats. Inhale to lift your heart. Exhale to round your back. You might feel like you're already really working the hands, working the wrists. Find your Ujjayi breath as you flow through your cows and cats, inhaling to cow, exhaling to cat. And let's see how we do with that in downward dog. Inhaling to arch the spine, curl your toes under, and exhale, lift the hips back and up, downward dog. The other important thing for our arm balances is that external shoulder rotation. So really roll your shoulders open by drawing your elbows in towards each other. Can you maintain that Hasta Bandha here? And then tiptoe your feet closer to your hands with your exhale. See how high you can lift your hips. Beautiful. And then inhale, walk the feet back into a downward dog. Exhale, tiptoe your feet forward. Can you keep your fingers gripping as you do that? Inhaling back to downward dog. Exhale, tiptoe forward. And inhale back to downward dog. Lift the hips high, press the chest back for a proper downward dog with your exhale. And then we'll bend the knees, roll forward, and come back to kneeling. And again, interlace your fingers, roll out the wrists, give them a little relief there. You probably started feeling that in your hands, but also in your shoulders from keeping that serratus anterior engaged, keeping that separation of the shoulder blades, that broadness in the upper back. So whatever you're feeling in your back, your wrists, be aware that that's the energy of those muscles working. Now, coming back down onto all fours. This time, inhale to step back into a plank. Draw your elbows towards your ribs like chaturanga. And then exhale, point your toes so you tilt forward, drawing those elbows towards your ribs, lower down for a chaturanga. And then inhale, push back up, separating the shoulder blades so that when you come to the top of your plank, your upper back is rounded like a cat pose. And then lower your knees down and press back to your child's pose. Beautiful. That same elbow position is what we're going to be using for our crow pose, but trying to find that broadness in the back so that your shoulder blades are really moving forward around the rib cage, keeping your shoulder joint nice and strong. All right, let's try to put that all together. So coming back to your all fours, Hasta Bandha with the hands, gripping the fingers back towards you, the suction cup feeling with the palm of your hand. And then curl your toes under and exhale to downward facing dog. Now take an inhale there. And with the exhale, start tiptoeing your toes closer to your hands. Pelvis is lifted high to the sky. We're starting our crow pose with the hips as high as possible. If you engage your pelvic floor muscles there, see if you can feel like your hips are lifting even higher. Right now, you should almost feel so light on the earth that it's like you could just float away, bum first up to the sky. Then exhale, bend your elbows as if you were coming into chaturanga. Can you bend your elbows in towards your shins and place your knees either shins along the triceps or knees to the outsides of the shoulders? That can help, especially for beginners. Now, the trick from here is to look forward. Look as far forward as you can and just start pointing your toes to lean your weight forward. From there, you might be able to lift one toe and then the other, or maybe you can lift both toes off the ground. Engaging the pelvic floor muscles so that you lift your hips again, drawing navel towards spine so you lift the hips high. Play around with this for as long as you'd like today. Looking forward so that you don't face plant. Keep the elbows drawing in, knees outside of the shoulders sometimes helps because it helps pull the elbows in. Keep gripping the fingers back towards you, starting with the hips high. Play around with this as long as it feels fun for you. And whenever you're ready, just lower down onto your bottom and bring the soles of your feet together. Now, if you have a bolster or a block, go ahead and grab it now. We'll do a back bend over our bolster, a nice counter pose for that chaturanga and for our crow pose. So you can walk your hands back until you can lay your chest over the bolster so that it presses your heart open and so your hands can come down to your sides. Ujjayi breath again here. Almost as if you've already fallen asleep. Now you can stay in this pose, our Supta Baddha Konasana, for your rest period, or you can take a full Shavasana. It's totally up to you. But whatever position you're in, just express gratitude to yourself, to your body for trying something new, even something hard like a crow pose. What great joy it is to live in these bodies that are so capable of experiencing new things every day. Thank you again for practicing with me today, everyone. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, peace.